virus outbreaks, bankruptcy, and cyber attacks. The country's flag carrier is going through turbulent times, but how is it navigating through these issues? We now speak with Philippine Airlines President and COO Stanley Ng in the studios. Captain Stanley, thank you so much for joining us on The Final Word.
Thank you for your invitation. Good evening, Rico.
All right. Philippine Airlines, through the years, has gone through turbulent times, especially so during this pandemic. How did the carrier transition from bankruptcy to profitability? Because in the first half of the year, you made money.
Yes. So thank you, Rico. So the challenges during the pandemic was really daunting. So let me start with, of course, a lot of people actually contributed to this success. I would start with our shareholder, of course, for their resiliency and support. They actually single-handedly fund the restructuring process. Of course, the whole management team, the finance team, and for negotiating with our lessors, creditors, to actually some forbearance as well as restructuring our loans, that we were able to actually reduce our debt, almost $2 billion. And from that moment on, of course, I will also say the volunteerism of our pilots and cabin crew and all the frontliners, I would really like to give credits to them. During those difficult times, they actually volunteered for a lot of repatriation flights and also the cargo flights that we have mounted.
So the first half of 2022, Captain Stanley, has really been good for Philippine Airlines. It has been profitable. Can this be sustained into the second half of 2022 and into 2023?
I would love to say that second half of the year actually look very good. It looked very good as a moment that we can see some forward booking. It's quite strong. So,
and it's the Burr months,
and it's
easing restrictions.
Yes.
A lot of Filipinos would like, from the US and from Europe, would like to travel back home and spend time with their families.
Exactly. So for this year, of course, we're trying to sustain what we have done in the first half of the year. And next year will be a lot more exciting because we actually have a lot of initiatives, as well as we're trying to improve customer experience. Actually, that's, and maybe we can share it at a later time. Yeah.
You talked about volunteerism, and you praised pilots, flight attendants, and many employees for giving their time and passion during this pandemic. But of course, many of these pilots and flight attendants as well during the pandemic were furloughed. Are these jobs back for them given the increasing number of flights?
Oh, so actually during the pandemic restructuring process, we reduced our fleet by almost 30%. So we also decreased the manpower about 30%. However, due to the increased demand that we've seen this year, we have been actually rehiring already since early this year, around March, when we saw that the world started opening up, and I was thankful of our government as well for opening quite early and manage the pandemic situation quite well. That's why we were able to actually increase our flights, and therefore have been already rehiring our pilots and cabin crew.
But of course, Captain Stanley, there's also been a double whammy. I mean, not only for all businesses, because you had the pandemic and also you had the war in Ukraine, which basically raised the price of aviation fuel and for fuel in general, for that matter. I mean, of course, you're now in competition with the other airlines, giving special promo fares, bringing down all of this. But how are you keeping up amid the higher cost of aviation fuel and, of course, the peso, which continues to be at record lows?
Yes. So for the fuel savings initiative have been in place for quite some time already, since 2019 actually, when I was still head of operations, and that was one of our greatest focus as well, to actually reduce fuel price. So of course increase efficiencies by investing also in digital to make our back-end system more better actually. So improve efficiency, as well as actually it's basically the North America route, so that's been supporting really that's really our lifeline right now because of our balikbayans as well.
That's right.
Supporting the
There are
airline.
millions of Filipinos living in North America, particularly in Los Angeles and San Francisco. And of course, that's the bread and butter of Philippine Airlines. You mentioned about the digital platform. A lot of companies banked on digitalization over the past 2.5 years. But it is also susceptible and prone to cyber attacks. And a couple of weeks ago, I mean, your frequent flyer program, Mabuhay Miles, was attacked. Yes. I mean, I'm a member of Mabuhay Miles. I'm also concerned with the data that I have in your system. What was stolen and how are you addressing this?
Okay, so when we found out, as soon as we found out that our IT service provider for our loyalty program was compromised, so we immediately worked with National Privacy Commission, NPC, to work with them, inform them of the cyber security attack, and then the next day we immediately inform all, send an email notification to all the members who were compromised. So it's a small percentage of our, but we still...
How many percent, Captain Stanley?
It's only about 10% of 10%. The loyalty program.
But what kind of information was stolen?
Oh, nothing really sensitive. It's
Okay.
just name, birthday, and the balance of their miles.
Okay.
Yes.
So no credit card details.
No credit card details.
No telephone numbers.
Telephone
No
number,
addresses.
no address.
Okay. No, that's the most important thing, which I am really very concerned about. And of course, the IT provider here is Axelea, Captain Stanley. Are you severing your ties with Axelea because of this cybersecurity breach?
So we're still working with them at the moment. However, we're also looking into other systems that might provide us more secured option for this program.
And I was looking through your background, Captain Stanley. You started out as a ground staff with Philippine Airlines, and then you became an interpreter, and then you joined the flying school and became a captain. You've flown numerous of Philippine Airlines aircrafts, and you became chief pilot. So how does this meld and mesh into your management style as the president and CEO of the flag carrier?
Oh, so actually nothing really beats on-ground experience, I would say, because anytime there's an issue, I can imagine that myself is in that position, like trying to solve that issue to the exact point that what's been going on, and identifying gaps on how to improve each process. And what really helps is the support of the people as well, because they've known me since 2003. It's been almost
19
20
years. Almost 20 years
Almost
at
20
Philippine
years
Airlines.
with
Yes.
Philippine Airlines. So
You have that personal relationship with employees.
almost everyone, actually, I would say. And they know my leadership style is quite transparency and engagement. So it's a no-blame culture, but always if there's something that we found to be inefficient, so we will always encourage them to just disclose it. And it's a good discovery for the entire team to learn from it. So that has been working for us quite well at the moment. And we keep encouraging new ideas and innovations to actually be a little bit of future-proof and be more agile, because in today's situation, we never know what's going to happen next. But if we're open-minded, then we're more agile to adapt to the current situation than I always believe in people. That's why that's why I believe if you have the right people, then they will do the right job.
And on that note, thank you so much, Captain Stanley, for joining us on The Final Word. And good luck with Philippine Airlines.
Thank you very much, Rico.
Captain Stanley Ng, the President and COO of the nation's flag carrier, Philippine Airlines.